Hello friends and welcome to today's video. In today's video we're going to be visiting the location where Wet n Wild Water Park once stood. Wet n Wild was opened on March 13, 1977 and it closed down December 31st of 2016. The creator was George Millay. George Millay had a background. He was the creator of SeaWorld San Diego. When he came over to Orlando to build SeaWorld over here, he came up with the idea of Wet n Wild. So there's a lot to talk about, a lot to see, a lot to learn about. I'm going to talk about George Millay, the creator, also. So I'm inviting you to come join me. Let's go have a wonderful day.
What's a Wet n Wild?
Always a hair raiser.
Mind-blowing.
Breathtaking. Sunbreaking.
Eye-popping.
Wave hopping.
Play all day and never stopping.
Slow moving.
Light shooting.
Thrill-seeking.
Daydreaming.
Place to go for fun.
It's kid-pleasing, non-stop fun every day at Wet n Wild. For the kid in your family and the kid in all of us. Wet n Wild in Orlando on International Drive.
Place to go for fun.
This is the corner right over here where Wet n Wild used to be on Universal and International Drive. And I remember coming from Universal all the time, coming down this way and coming across Wet n Wild over here. If you remember, the parking lot used to be over here, so you would park over here where this building is and then cross the street and then head over to where the entrance used to be. And now it is owned by NBC Universal, but actually it was owned by George Millay up until 2013. And so he sold the park to Universal in 1998 and made money off the property by leasing it to them up until 2013. Then Universal bought the property from him at $30.9 million. But this is where Wet n Wild used to be. Now let's head over to where the entrance to the parking lot used to be. This area right here is where I believe the sign to the entrance of the parking lot used to be. And the reason being is because of this gutter right over here. You can see on the photograph the gutter there. Obviously this has had a lot of change. They added these islands all the way in the middle, and the street wasn't like this. And obviously they made some modifications here, and so it looks different, but I believe this is the spot. If you do a Google search, right, if you do a Google map search and you come to this spot, you can actually see those electrical boxes, and in this angle over here you can see the gutter that I'm showing you here. So the sign kind of lines up with actually right over here where the sign would be. Here's another picture of the sign entering the parking lot. You can see there it says welcome 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Park opens today. And you can actually see this building in the background right over there. But this is the sign standing pretty much where I'm at, right here over here, right in there. Obviously now we have the resorts, but used to just come in through here. This was the driveway right in through here. This is where you would turn in. Let me back out. This is where you would turn in, and then the sign was right over here. So cool. A couple of things about George Millay. He was actually born on the 4th of July of 1929 and passed away February 6th of 2006. Now, George Millay was a fan of Walt Disney. He actually did a couple of things that copied Walt Disney. Number one, he made sure that his park was clean. One thing that he did not like was that there was any trash on the floor. Number two, another thing that he did was that he came up with the character Shamu, which was a huge success due to him kind of seeing what Mickey Mouse did for Disney World. Another thing that he did as far as characters are concerned, in Wet n Wild, he came up with a couple of characters that weren't so famous, which were called Drip and Drop. Here are a few photographs of them. Once you park and walk towards the park, the very first thing that you see was Disco H2O. Disco H2O was added to the park in 2005, and it brought 1970 disco era to the park. And let me show you a video of what that looked like in there. This attraction did have a person requirement, which meant you had to have 2 people of maximum of 4. This was not a single rider type of attraction. This was not for a family of 5 like mine. But let me also show you a banner that you would find inside the park, giving you some fun facts about this attraction. This one is obviously from Disco H2O. You can see here that in 2005, Xbox was created. YouTube was founded. What I'm doing today, YouTube, back in 2005. And then the Patriots won the championship. This lake that you see behind me was also used by Wet n Wild. It was used for the zip line water skiing attraction, and it was all done right over here in this corner. They did not use the whole lake. Pretty big lake. They only used kind of like a corner. Right there behind me is where it was used, and that's pretty cool. Another cool fact about George Millay is that in 1994 he was inducted to the IAAPA Hall of Fame. That's the IAAPA Hall of Fame. And then in 2004, the World Water Park Association gave George Millay their first Lifetime Achievement Award and named him the father of water parks. So we're back here on the corner of International and Universal. So whether you cross the street over here to get to the park, or you walked up this sidewalk over here, before you made a left, you would come across the Wet n Wild sign that stood right over here in this corner. Actually, let me show you a couple of photographs that I have here of the actual sign. And it was pretty much at this angle right over here. Pretty much at this angle is the sign. And you can see this one here. But on June 17, 2015, that's when it was announced that the park will be closing. And they actually had a name for it, The Last Splash. And giving people the opportunity to come over here if they'd never been here, which is something I did not heed to, giving people the opportunity to ride some of the attractions before the park closed down. This is where the sign was. The awesome attraction that was here in the corner was called Mach 5. Mach 5 was originally called Mach 5 Alpha back when it opened in 1986. Here is the banner of the attraction with some fun facts. Back in 86, gas was 89 cents per gallon. Mike Tyson became the youngest world heavyweight champion, and Halley's Comet was last seen in 1986. You know, back in 1977, when the park first opened, the admission was $3.75. Obviously, prices were a lot lower back in the day, but not only that, there wasn't a lot of attractions that you would be able to ride. Obviously, that changed, and during their life, they actually had 17 water slides in their time, which is a lot. So they had a lot of changes. They kept up with the times. They gave people a lot of new attractions to ride, and that's the reason why the water park lasted so long. Another cool thing about the park was that it actually ran 365 days a year. So they weren't shut down for a certain amount of time because of cold weather, because sometimes it does get cold here in Orlando. They actually operated it because they had heating pools. So whenever necessary, they would heat the pools and stay open. A main reason why the park started making money on its second year was because they added the Kamikaze Super Slide in 1979, and it was a very popular attraction. It was first of a kind, and it was actually 6 stories high, where you would climb 6 stories and slide your way down. So it was a very popular attraction that helped build crowds. They started making money, and they actually gave kids pins whenever they rode the Kamikaze, and this is what it looked like. When George Millay was working for SeaWorld, he got into an argument with them, and he decided to leave the company. And it wasn't very hard for him to find investors to invest money in his new project, which ended up being Wet n Wild. Now, Wet n Wild was the very first modern day water park, and so not a lot of people knew a lot about it. And so on the first year, George Millay and Wet n Wild ended up losing $600,000, which would have shut anybody down, but he ended up staying open and actually started making money on his second year. Obviously, the rest is history. When you're doing a Google search and you do a street view, you can see that the actual entrance to the park was right over here. It was right over here. This is where you would actually enter the turnstiles to enter the park. And the very first thing that you would come across is that huge wave pool. Now, the angle that you can see in this photograph, you can't see the building because of all these trees that are blocking it, but you can obviously see the buildings behind those trees, and then you can also see a sign. That sign had the Wet n Wild logo on there, and I'm gonna say 100% based off Google, the sign would have been right over here. Right over here, either where this sign is or where that bush is, where that tree is, right over here. This is where the sign used to be. Obviously, this has changed completely. You'll see that the sign was actually right over here. And this section right over here, before they changed it up a little bit, was where you used to pull up your car, park right over here, pretty much where all of this is at, and then you would enter the park right over here. All right, now that we made it through the turnstile, you can see here on the left-hand side, the little kid section. That's where the castle was. That's where they would dump water every 15 minutes. And then you can see Mach 5 in the far distance. If you look straight ahead, you're gonna see the wave pool that was here. And we're gonna take a closer look at it. But I want you to pay attention to the left. You're gonna see a plaque. That plaque is to honor George, which was the creator of Wet n Wild, which was born 4th of July of 1929 and died February 6th of 2006. And you can see the wave pool here. Let's go ahead and take a closer look. So this right here would actually put me inside Wet n Wild property, and if you actually went to that direction, to that corner, you would come across a few other attractions like Der Stuka, which was German for dive bomber. You'd also come across the Bombay that opened in 2001. Now, the Bombay was an attraction that was actually used in the music video of the Pet Shop Boys called Se a Vida E in 1996, featuring Eva Mendes. Another cool fact about Wet n Wild is that they were using back in 2006 what was called Go technology. And so you would get a wristband, you can put your payment information in the wristband and pay with your wristband within the park. Obviously, Magic Band Plus and Magic Band came out in 2013. So Wet n Wild was actually doing it before Disney. Now, speaking of Disney, Wet n Wild was the most attended water park until Typhoon Lagoon and Blizzard Beach blew them out the water, actually. No pun intended. All right, friends, thank you for coming along. We got a chance to take a look at what was once Wet n Wild, the very first modern day water park. As a matter of fact, they used to be called Water Playground. Now they're called water parks, but the very first modern day water park, Wet n Wild. The creator, George Millay, we spoke about him. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, consider so. More videos like this coming soon. And I'm gonna end this video like I always do. We came, we saw, and we conquered. And do me a favor, have a wonderful day. Peace.